We need to keep them on photos.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this regular May 7th, 2024 council meeting. Please rise for the invocation and remain standing until we pledge allegiance. Dear Lord, we gather here this evening under your care and protection. Thank you for your love and kindness that never fails us. We thank you for those with us, that you would guide our thoughts and actions to bring you joy and glory. Strengthen us and fill us with your peace. We ask that you continue to protect our community, our first responders, and our employees. We also pray for the family of New Lebanon Middle School teacher Caleb Galvey, who was involved in an automobile accident last evening. Watch over him, dear Lord. Protect and heal him, Lord, and protect and watch over his family and his students at New Lebanon Middle School. In your name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next is the verbal roll call of council members present for the record.
Councilmember Back,
Present.
Councilmember Joy,
Present.
Councilmember Locke, Councilmember Perkins, Councilmember Sexton,
Present.
Vice Mayor Atkins,
Present.
Mayor Fisher.
Present. Okay, before we continue with the regular meeting minutes, the law director has requested some time, so I will turn it over to him.
Thank you, Your Honor. The last time we were here, there were some questions and a lot of commentary about what's required to be in the minutes of each meeting. And so I thought I'd do a legal opinion on that. I did. I'd like to pass that out to council. Then I'll just briefly review it because it's 3 pages, but it's an easy read. First slide.
It's just an arrow, right?
You have to turn off. On the side.
Oh.
Okay. So, and all of this is in your letter. Okay, so the new Lebanon Code of Ordinances, they only have a few specific requirements as far as the contents of meeting minutes. And the meeting minutes need only reflect under codified ordinance 30.01B6A, only need to reflect the general subject matter of the discussions. So it's not that it has to be a verbatim and or even a detailed commentary. It's just really a general content. of what the issue was that's being discussed. And as to the approval of the minutes, we had some challenges in the approval of the minutes last time. And you can make comments on amending the minutes, but again, since the minutes only have to be general, those comments should be general. And the methods of voting for the approval of minutes is roll call, and majority will approve the minutes. So 4-3 is needed. 4-2 in this instance, since our councilperson Perkins is now. And then I thought I'd get some state law in it as well, because we do have the Sunshine Act, which requires open meetings, and that meetings, the minutes be open to the public and available to the public. The Supreme Court has also expressly held, the case is detailed in the handout, that word for word transcripts are not a requirement, so it's complied with the Open Meetings Act. So long as the minutes sufficiently describe the discussions held during the meeting, they will be accurate. So that's what I have as far as go. But I think we also had some challenges in keeping the meeting order last time. And so I thought it'd be helpful for us to go through some parliamentary procedures. If you recall, during the meeting of February 7th, 2023, the former law director went through those parliamentary procedures, but I think a refresher is in order. And so if you look at 3501 of the letter codified ordinances, specifically subsection J, rules of parliamentary procedure. Presiding officer shall provide for the orderly transaction of business and meetings of the council. Mayor, you're the presiding officer. Then I want you to remember this Robert's Rules of Order, because I want to get into this when I start talking about Josh Farley's matter later on in this meeting. Robert's Rules of Order may be used as a guide, provided they are not in conflict with this section or the ordinances of the municipality. So with that, let's go to the next slide, Christina. Some basic parliamentary procedures, that's in Robert's Rules of Order and in New Lebanon codified ordinances. First and foremost, mayor is in charge of this meeting, and anybody on this council or in the audience want to speak, you must ask the mayor for permission to speak. That's the way we keep an orderly meeting. And mayor, once you acknowledge a person and give them the floor, they have the floor. If the person in your, while talking, becomes quote out of order, you have the ability to warn the person that they're out of order or help refocus their discussion. And if that continues, you can ask the person to proceed. So that's just some of the powers you have if you need to use them. Now, when somebody is recognized, okay, the comments may only address the matters at hand. So we've got a piece of legislation in front of us. You can't start talking about, well, remember back when you did this. You know, that's not how it works. You have to keep your comments directed specifically on the issue at hand. Let's talk about minutes approval. We've already talked about this briefly. General comments for corrections only, and the roll call vote will approve. Next slide, please, Christina. Again, more parliamentary procedure, council members, legislation. Council members can only address the legislation on the table. Citizens have the right to voice their opinion on each piece of legislation that's on the table after council expresses their opinion or their concerns. Then once all citizens' comments are complete, the mayor, you can go down the line and ask the council members if they would like to respond to the collective comments that they've heard from the audience. And that's time that have parliamentary procedure in place. The citizens, they can make general comments on subject matter that's not part of the agenda already. So they can talk about, remember when, or I've got this problem on this street, so on and so forth. And council members are not to comment while the citizens are making their comments. But after the citizens are complete with their comments, once again, Mayor, you can go down the line and ask if any council member would like to comment on any citizens' comments. That's the way we just keep the flow moving. And then council members, they get a section under section 10 of the agenda to talk about anything that's on their mind. And under the ordinances, the time limit is 5 minutes, but Mayor, you as the presiding officer of the meeting, you can allow additional time if you think it's appropriate. Okay, so that really sums up everything I have for parliamentary procedures, content of the minutes. So I'll be quiet for a little bit until unfinished business. I'd like to give an update on some of the investigations. But you've got an agenda to go through now.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next is the approval of regular meeting minutes from April 16, 2014 meeting. Are there any corrections or changes to these minutes? No changes? All those in favor of accepting these minutes, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no.
6-0.
Next on the agenda is unfinished business.
Unfinished business. Your Honor, there's been a lot of things happen in the past week or so. And much as I dislike responding to media and or sensational type things, I think it's appropriate for me to make a few comments and revisit my investigation today. So there's a whole lot of chatter about, well, we want to know why these people were fired. What's the full cause? They're just a big fan. Oh, this is unethical. It's unjust. Well, it's not. I covered that before, but we'll get through some cause items here in a few minutes. So people seem to have forgotten the 15-page report I wrote and PowerPoint presentation that I gave at the boards and peers. But we're going to go through a couple slides again. So Christina, next slide, please. Okay, so Lebanon operates this village under two sets of laws. They're known as the charter municipalities, so they can direct their own destiny. They can run the village as they see fit, so long as it doesn't conflict with the general law of the state of Ohio. A general law, a good example of the general law of the state of Ohio is, for example, environmental laws. You don't want political subdivisions passing their own environmental laws. You want a cohesive type of laws in place. So that's why I have this next slide, manner and exercise of powers, because it bears into this investigation. You see the highlights there. When not prescribed in this charter provided by ordinance of council, then such powers shall be exercised in the manner provided by the general laws of the state of Ohio. Well, next slide, please. Okay, so in the Lebanon contract, that contract was not endorsed by the law director, and that's a fundamental requirement of Ohio law. And 7511 has some basic concepts. We'll just focus on the highlights. He shall prepare all contracts. Mr. Keener did not prepare the October 3rd, 2023 contract on this matter. That's been stipulated to. And then the next highlight is really important. No contract with a municipal corporation shall take effect until the approval of the village solicitor or the city director of law is endorsed thereon. There's nothing complicated about this. There's no exceptions to this. If the endorsement is not on, the contract is not valid. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so a contract is void, not prepared by the law director, not accompanied by the signature of law director, not accompanied by certificate of funds availability, and it was negotiated outside the time frame of a previous contract. So what does that make Lebanon? An employee at will. Okay, and this is straight from New Lebanon's codified ordinances. Employment with the village is at will. This means that either the employee of the village can terminate the employment relationship at any time, with or without notice, and with or without cause. Again, nothing complicated there. Anytime, any place, for any reason. Management changes happen. You see it happen all the time in business, you see it happen all the time in sports. We just need to take a new direction. But there's a way that the at-will employment relationship can be altered, and that's if the village manager, with the consent of council, agreed to alter this at-will relationship. And none of that was done in any of the employees that were terminated, and specifically not. Let's go through some for cause reasons here, okay? And people seem to gloss over these are important, these are big deals. Secretive off-site storage of public records and private storage facilities. Mayor Nickerson asked for the key to the facility, the location. Know what he got? No. He asked for keys to get into this building. Know what the response was? No. That person reported to me, out. Failure to properly post job ordinances. Thumbing her nose at codified ordinance of New Lebanon. Didn't post them, and for some key positions, you hired who you wanted to. Transfer over the assets to cover budget shortfalls without council approval. Big deal. Misappropriation, next slide please, Christina. Misappropriation of public funds, authorized wrongful payment of educational incentive to herself and 6 other employees. 3% of their salary. That's in black and white, and the code that she violates in black and white. Violated Ohio sunshine laws by denying public records requests. Shannon Bemis, you're an expert at that. You can tell us all about it. Not good. Open meetings, sunshine laws, public records, that's important. Storage of unfavorable personnel file materials of police officers in her desk, specifically Gretchen Weir and Officer Go. They're public records if anybody wants to make a request. This one's important. Executive sessions violations. Improperly calling executive sessions. Take a look at one example. I call this the Glenn Madden contract training. Now we get to watch the video.
There's a remote control there too. Turn the volume up.
Here, yeah, before you start it. Here's pause for a second. Yeah, get the volume right and then restart.
It almost all the way up, it's not playing.
Well, we don't need to see the video so much as we need to hear the audio, so let's. Comments later, all right, pause.
For the renegotiation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so October 3rd, 2023, right before the 2023 election, this had a resolution on the agenda for entering into new contract. A couple problems with that. The first contract specifically stated the renegotiation period on time extension only was 30 days prior to the anniversary date of the agreement. And the anniversary date was in February. Okay, so you back that, new council would have been, back that out 30 days, new council would have been seated, and so wonder why she did that. Okay, then there were several members in the audience, specifically specifically Joshua Farley, Melissa Sexton, who was not a council member at that time, Shannon Venus, and Back was not a council member at that time. And then Nicole Atkins was a council member, and she had some concerns. So we want to hear those, and then Nicole Atkins made a motion, and we'll see what happened to that motion. Let's go ahead.
So I think my comment is just quite simply and normal that, when stated on the contract, it verbiage, you can think about that, it doesn't say on the report. It says that. I would like to put out that I believe personally, just from a personal point of view, we were trying to get that through before you let to get locked in just in case. But that's just a personal opinion. Outside of that, you're just allowed to talk about their displeasure with you guys trying to slip things in before an election is coming up. They're absolutely allowed to run. In my name, for one, but I appreciate it. Excuse me, with the rest of the is the wrong model. It's Mr. King, not to me. Because today, I did not say anything that indicated what you voice displeasure. Stewart, you could wish that we would. Now, having said that, I know this is on the top, but since I'm wrong right now. You wanted to say that you bring it up to the right avenues. Well, if you do that for 2 years and nothing happens, the answer should come from this room. When we're not getting it from the right avenue, thank you.
I'm completely thrown off. I had everything down what I was gonna say. This contract, trying to do it 3 months before time. I'm kind of shocked, and I cannot believe that none of you want to see what is in the contract before you even.
We've seen the contract. We have to solve it.
Exactly why. You're doing a poor job of it. So also. I guess you guys have made. So can we see, and this is just about, can we see the proposed contracts? Yeah.
At this point, it's a negotiation, it's not the way that we'll see.
So how many days, oh, sorry,
Once it's negotiated, it's not.
I'm not sure. What was said. Can't see the contract because of the agent. Okay? Well, I've got news for you. Go ahead and continue.
That's why I have much directions available for anybody who wants to look at them.
so as these orders, even more contract is not available to look on these signed proposals.
Until son.
But there's proposals, like from these budgets, whether or not.
The negotiations for personnel matters. So next,
So we have no setting on, if you want to pay somebody $50, there's nothing we can say about it.
we may voice whatever you wish to voice, but the decision is up to council. Council.
And that's the problem. And that's why we have to, and have to it, have to it. I mean, if I can see your busy by yourself, that's reasonable. There's no reason why you should be purchased. That's the sort. That's.
This town.
In the back, like, I use Main Street. Well, I have some data on the right, and, yeah. They were, on the back. This is how. Or they take it out. Same, like.
Here's the call.
When did everybody get the packet, the agenda, this time around? That was on the house.
I was at my house, couldn't get back.
I was flying on Monday morning around 9:35. It's supposed to be at least 48 hours. That's why I didn't even vote. We even have time to go through the minutes and find out what was right, what was wrong. Because I work on Monday and I work long hours. I didn't even have time to read all of this. And this makes it hard when I don't get it in time. When other people got it on Saturday and I'm getting it on Monday morning at 9:30.
All I do is check in on that, and the police actually deliver those, so I don't know, either they tried to deliver it and no one was home.
They left this on, they left this under, they slid it over the door. So that's what they did this time too. All weekends, I was doing all, so I didn't go anywhere this weekend.
I will check on it. And then, when I just wanted to clarify,
I think it's still a copy of the old contract and the new contract. Because I still want to compare and contrast, because the reason why I can't vote on it, is I haven't seen the old one versus the new one, and made a vote. And that's the reason why, it's not that I'm against it or for it, I just want to make sure when I'm voting on something, I have all the information before I vote. That's the only reason why I want to see vote.
and that's what we received during the negotiations.
Well, I missed one executive session, so I don't know.
The last executive session, we talked about the contract,
Yeah.
and that's the only one we talked about it, and we will talk about it going forward.
Yeah, we only had a couple seconds to look at it, so.
Right, that's because we needed to pass this to actually negotiate.
Congratulations to the.
Okay, so more table setting here. So the motion that's before council is to authorize the mayor to enter into a contract with Glen Matter. And it's a contract that presumably not a council member has seen. But let's hear the rest of the story.
The requirement of level, this part of you, the sort of the terms and conditions set forth in the form again. Any questions?
I would like to table this until later date due to everything that I worked on tonight. Plus, I would like to get a copy of the old contract with the new contract, so I can look at both of them on one time, not within a couple minutes being able to do it all. Thank you.
Motion, second motion.
Hear that? Crickets.
No.
Faces in.
No. Nobody have any questions? Yeah, we have a motion to, resolution 2023-15. So.
Councilmember Sands.
Yes.
Councilmember Green.
Yes.
Councilmember Jordan.
Yes.
Mayor Area.
Yes.
Recall. Councilmember Perkins.
Yes.
Councilmember Atkins.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I went through all that. There was a claimer. Everybody wanted to see the old contract and the new contract. Imagine that before they voted on. Okay, so next we're going to see them convene into executive session. And the next executive, of all the videos I watched of executive session going in prior to me becoming involved in this community, not one of them has been entered into properly. And there's 4 poll stars that you have to follow. Number 1, it must be properly called pursuant to RC 122.22G. More on that later. General minutes of the executive session must be made. Generally, what was discussed. What that should say is the lawful reason for convening into the executive session. There is no such thing as general minutes on the executive session in this community. Never been done. It's a check and balance. Number 3, no content may be discussed in executive session outside of reason for the executive session. Keep your thumb on this one. And then when leaving the executive session, the mayor must swear on record that only the content discussed in executive session was what was listed as the basis of the executive session. You see a trend here? Keeps everybody honest on things that are secret. Never followed. So guess what? No secrets. So now let's watch how they mistakenly go into executive session.
No, for the purpose of request for executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121.22G, 1, 2, 3, 5, and discuss personal matters and matters.
So moved.
Councilmember Jordan.
Yes.
Mayor Area.
Yes.
Councilmember Perkins.
Yes.
Councilmember Sands.
Yes.
Councilmember Green.
Yes.
Six yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Looks like a place where you try to executive session over.
Okay, so look at the time there. Okay, now pause it.
Second.
Okay, so they're in executive session just a little over an hour. Okay? So let's go back to the basis of the executive session uttered by the mayor. Personnel and legal matters. There's no such thing as a lawful executive session under personnel or legal matters. G1. To consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual. Unless the public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual requests a public hearing. Except as otherwise provided by law, no public body shall hold an executive session. Okay, that's not true. If a public body holds an executive session pursuant to G1, this section, the motion and vote to hold that executive session shall state which one or more of the approved purposes listed in G1 of the section are the purposes for which the executive session is to be held. So you have to say it's for the employment, the dismissal, discipline, so on. Personnel matter, too broad, you have to be specific. And then legal matters, there's only one basis for legal matters, and that's conference with an attorney or the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action. Okay, so that is what the motion has to say, legal matters. Why is it important? Because it's a check and balance. Okay, so now this is confidential. Let's go to the next slide. What really happened? Next slide. Councilwoman Atkins requested to see the old and new contracts from Madden. Next, Madden calmly pulled them out of her file and handed them to her. This contract, remember the meeting was held on October 3rd. Signed, sealed, delivered, negotiated, not negotiated, on October 3rd, 2003. Next slide. That's the date of the contract, right there on the contract itself. Next slide, the signature page. They were read. Question I have is, how did Anna Marie Star Joy witness this contract when she wasn't in the executive session? Answer, it was already signed beforehand. I guess the same thing's true with Henson. Henson signed it. He wasn't in executive session. All right, so, guys want to talk about cause? There's some more cause. This is one of my favorites right next. Mayor on February 7th, 2023, Joshua Quality was arrested in this council chamber. Let's take a look at that.
Thanks. Then we have a question to offer.
All right, this is the executive, first for executive session, which then the right of exposed, one 22, J1 and J3 to discuss personnel matters that impact. Motion. The second.
Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. Dorr.
Yes.
Mr. Perkins.
Yes.
Ms. Atkins.
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Carriola.
Yes.
Mr. James. Yes. Yes. The resolution carries.
It will be given in full respect. And then further.
Okay, so
Okay, motion to recover.
okay. So I did include a lot of Mr. Farley's previous commentary, and those that know Mr. Farley, he can be a rather spirited individual at times in chat, and so we had some spirited commentary going this right after this motion for executive session. Okay, let's go to the next slide.
I think this video mic has the whole thing, and I think we can finish it.
Okay, all right.
One.
Mr. Dorr.
Yes.
Mr. Perkins.
Yes.
Ms. Atkins.
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Carriola.
Yes.
Mr. James.
Yes.
Mr. James.
Yes.
Count 7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Old business, one just second reading of ordinance 2023-01. Ordinance adding 127.12. The chapter 137 weapons control, the code of ordinances of its county of 11.
These is procedure clause.
I think it's when he gets arrested.
No.
Okay.
There's another February 7th, which one?
Yeah, go to the next slide, please. Okay. Now we're back to requirements for a proper executive session. We don't need to repeat that. You heard what they said, personnel and the again. Not proper. Next slide. Something's fishy. Why? The executive session entered into was at the beginning of city council meetings. I've looked at a bunch of city council meetings and they're always at the end. Wonder why they had to do it beforehand. Second fishy thing. Executive session was held in the stronghold of the police chambers instead of the usual conference room. Wonder why? And Mr. Farley, I thought he may have been tipped off because he knew something was up because he kept asking the mayor. He came back in. What did you discuss in the executive session? And the mayor responded, executive session. Not gonna tell you. Okay, so next slide, please. What really happened? What happened was the unlawful discussion was about how Joshua Farley threatened to sue the village and how to arrest him if he became disruptive. The mayor and Chief Hensley discussed a signal between them as to when to arrest Joshua Farley. Now watch when that happens on the video. Then there was no warnings. Okay, Mr. Farley was, he was getting animated, but there was no warnings whatsoever. Let's watch the arrest.
There a time frame on that? That's right.
Yeah. Well, the time frame.
I've already paid it. I paid
The frame is the least you could do.
I went out, both of them have been paid. I say tomorrow. Do, can you give a time frame?
We can. Well, I have both of them go back. I'll let you know as soon as I can. Right. You know, it's. We already spoke.
Oh, I can't speak again, right? I got another question, right? I got another question about transparency and sunshine law, right? She asked you about stuff 3 years ago, right, that you should have had her, right? It's against the law, right? It's the sunshine law, right? Transparency of public records. Transparency of public records, right? Let me back to the podium, right? You give her her records, right? Give her her records, right? By law and her records.
No, not. This is unbelievable. You all will be hearing from my attorney. Well, we're going to hear from my attorney, the legal and the new house. There was no law broken.
Guys, I just,
No warning, no law broken. I am calling my attorney. This is why I love you. I am leaving.
Starting a public meeting. When they are declaring out of order, they will have it more longer and more than everything at the beginning of this, it had been done.
It's right.
you never asked me.
You didn't ask me.
You guys were up here and had your private conversations and they commented to each other and starts it up, and seriously, you're gonna watch this guy? Shame on you.
The only comments.
Okay. So Mr. Farley was handcuffed, taken downtown. Okay, remember, I asked you to remember Robert's Rules of Order. They control the procedure of their meetings, okay? And there's procedures in Robert's Rules of Order from removing an unruly participant. Some would say Mr. Farlow was unruly. Some would say that Mr. Farlow was advocating for the constitutional rights of the records request. You get those filled. You have political speech, which is highly protected in law. But under Robert's rules, the only remedy is removal from the meeting. 3 warnings are required. And only a majority vote of council can have a member removed, not the mayor at his sole complete discretion. So, with that said, I've looked at the video in detail, I examined the file in detail, and as a result, as prosecutor, I dismissed the charge that was asserted against Mr. Farley when he was arrested in the Perry Council. Thank you. I'll be evaluating the rest of the case in the near future. All right, so I'm finished talking about cause for now. But I would like to just kind of, this is related to the investigation and it's the conduct of the administration, council members, as part and parcel of this investigation. So let's start with the campaign of smear and intimidation that's commenced beginning February 21st. Immediately, Detective Weir claims lead violation by Sexton, Anderson, and Nickerson. Filed a complaint with the state police. That allegation was dismissed completely. Backstory on it is those 3 individuals went to go in the police department, don't know who they had to talk to or what their business was. Next thing you know, this claim was made. Being tenacious, Detective Weir attempted to reignite this same lead claim here about 2 weeks ago. It met the same fate. Immediately, public records requests were made from McNamee clients, the city of Fairborn, city of Englewood, and Miami Valley Communication Council, seeking contracts, invoices, personnel files. That's fine. I have nothing to hide, but I'm watching you. Better be careful. Public records requests were made for Rob Anderson's similar public records. Former employers, Vandalia, and the city of Fairborn. And we all know the attack that was made on Rob Anderson's mental health, which was given as one of the reasons why he resigned from Fairborn. Okay. And here's my friend Councilman Joy and his wife, but Madden and her boyfriend, they decided to take a road trip to one of my cities, city of Englewood, during a city council meeting. Again, to make the impression, hey, we're watching Joy. And then, because we always go to company 7 after Englewood City Council, it's good barbecue. And guess who was there? Councilman Troy, his spouse, Ms. Madden, and her boyfriend. We're watching you.
I was not there. Order, please, order.
Mid-March, Joy, Locke, and Perkins request a laughable Ohio Ethics Commission investigation against the mayor, 3 council members, McNamee, and Anderson. And then we have Captain Chambers, the whistleblower. Can you read that?
Just everyone. No, first one. Greetings. I have reviewed the attached letter expressing the lack of confidence by our police officers regarding the current village leadership and concur with the reasons therein. In addition to that, I have become aware of potential criminal acts undertaken by members of the current village leadership and writing this in order to bring it to the forefront. As such, I expect I will be afforded whistleblower protection to keep me safe from retaliations. Respectfully, Jim Chambers.
Wait, what? Captain Chambers, you're a whistleblower? First, you have to be convinced that it's criminal activity. And then you have to be reporting it secretly. You're not a whistleblower reporting any statutes. But what is the criminal activity that he's talking about is a claim that Councilman Joy has filed with the Montgomery County Sheriff to investigate me. Saying, let's see, how did this go? Shoot, I forget what it was, but I've had some contact with it. It's just really laughable again because of how I conducted a meeting or something like that. And I'm in touch with the sheriff's office. I expect it to be dismissed out of hand. And I guess I'll be with Councilman Joy there. Let's go to the campaign. That's the last one I want to talk about. Is campaign of smear and intimidation examples. And by the way, that claim was just filed last Friday the 1st. It's Reprehensible Police Department.
Are you doing the second? Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm skipping over. The two guys.
One done.
Okay, now this one really gets me. Reprehensible Police Department leaked a body cam video to alleged independent journalist of Detective Weir setting up Councilman Atkins' husband. There was alleged inappropriate commentary. And if that commentary, Detective Weir is talking to this man for 25 minutes, delivering the council. And at the 10-minute and 30-second mark, she tells him, my body cam is on. And then Councilman Atkins gets an email from a so-called nameless independent journalist, bringing this to her attention, which she's never heard of. This is how she woke up Sunday. And she got in touch with me immediately. And I reached out to this journalist, well, we can't surely comment if we're not seeing it. And we're not seeing an email that transmitted it from Chief Hensley to all patrol people expressing great concern that if you go to this woman's house and drop off council packets, make sure there's 2 officers there. Unbelievable. Not just. And then her timing was perfect. This independent journalist, spineless at that, I might add, 6:11 p.m. sends me this. Thanks for your response. First, I need to provide any videos or emails to you or the Atkins family, because you have them at your disposal already, as you should know, since they are a public record. Second, I write under a pen name, as many journalists do, to avoid persecution and retaliation from fascists, mentally ill, and the like. Last, would Mrs. Atkins care to offer a comment now that she has seen the purported videos? A very reliable source tells me she was at the office yesterday. So I expect she's now seen the videos and has been given a copy of the purported email to the PD by the chief of police. Or would you like to go on record stating that the videos and email don't exist? Peace be unto you, my brother. And so we checked with the police department. And then there's been no public records request made for this video. And I, of course, demanded them immediately, and of course, I did play them from Ms. Atkins, but not in this office, in my office.
And it was today.
So, Councilwoman Atkins, you asked to speak, now it's a good
Yes.
time to do that.
Okay, I did review the videos today. Not yesterday, not the day before, today. I had no knowledge, this is over a year ago, that this so-called discussion between Gretchen and my husband, both of them's out of line. Both of them was talking about council people too, making fun of them. You know, there is just so much wrong for both of you guys that I'm embarrassed to know either one of you. But besides that, I'm just gonna say, it has nothing to do with me and it has nothing to do with my character because I am who I am and I do not speak to anything what they was doing. They was having a general conversation the whole time, cutting up, joking, talking about the moon, talking about everything under the sun. So for one, this is a sunshine law violation. They did not request a public record at all. It's a violation. Somebody in our police department or in our village is handing out documents that is not allowed to be handed out without the proper channels. How many other people in our community has had this happen to? Who else are you guys handing out public records without permission? And what laws are you guys violating? And I'm done.
Please, Lord.
Okay. So. Couple things, then I want to conclude. There's been a couple letters. No confidence, whatever that is, from the service department. And the police department. They're public records, I don't even bother even saying what's in there. Goofy to be quite clear. But here's my response to those letters of no confidence that I delivered to Jan 7 and the Dayton Daily News. I read the so-called statements of no confidence from Village and Lebanon employees with interest. The phrase "the best defense is a good offense" comes to mind. I can also say that no confidence characterization is mutual. This is why Village Council implemented the change of management, which is its sole and complete prerogative to do so. The prerogative of the village to change management is very clearly detailed in the Lebanon Codified Ordinance 35.102, which reads, we've already read that, so I won't do that again. I continue. At any time, with or without notice, with or without cause, there is nothing confusing about this. Management change was made, period, deal with it. On April 29, 2024, New Lebanon's Personnel Appeals Board unanimously confirmed the termination of 5 former employees, filed an appeal which included former department heads Hensley, former chief of police, Henson, former CFO, and Brock, former service department superintendent, as proper at-will terminations. Notwithstanding the at-will terminations, I've identified numerous areas of concern, complete with evidence and detailed in my preliminary report issued on March 19, 2024. I encourage folks to review that report before jumping to conclusions. Reference was made to a culture of fear existing at the village. I submit that the real fear lies in exposing the misdeeds of the prior administration and getting bumped from the gravy train that they're on. 2 people did not file the personnel appeals board. And that was Ron Keener, had the common sense not to, and that's Glenn Matt. She decided to file some type of lawsuit. There was a response issued to that by me, I believe, last week, and I don't think I've given council copies of this, so here's that. Guidelines. in the statement of no confidence issued by the police department, signed by Officer Clarkson, who, by the way, said he wanted to talk to me about my investigation without a subpoena. There was brought out that I missed a suppression hearing as prosecutor in a case involving a Brandon Smith. And I did do that, and that was a mistake on my part. And I will apologize to the judge on that, and I will tell you here plainly that that was a mistake in communication between myself and the judge. But unlike represented by Mr. Clarkson in his statement of no confidence, the world is not falling, the world is not going to end. Mr. Smith got custody of his kids. The case is strong, the trial is in July, and we want to take it to court then. With that, I think I've talked to him. Oh, no, I forgot one thing. Now, those terminations, $312,000 a year has been saved. $312,000. And we're just beginning.
Okay. Public comments or questions. We'll call your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak and be heard. Once your time is up, you will be thanked, but no additional time will be given, and no donation of time by others to others will be allowed. We will not be stopping your time, but may, if necessary, address your comments after you have finished speaking. First person is going to be Joshua Farley, 136 Broadwood. Please, sir.
Thank you, absolutely. It's been there a long time coming to this, where it's come from this council, a little bit over a year. So I did want to touch base on the letter of confidence from the police department. To me, it looks like an obvious plan to fight and save Glenn's job. It doesn't look like anything else. It also looks like Thomas Schiff's abrupt resignation is also another damage blow to the community. I know that you apologized for it, but I heard through the grapevine, I have quite a few connections, that the prosecutor, Thomas Schiff, was there, but just acted like nothing was going on. In his letter, he said that he'd do anything to help the transition and process to the new prosecution team. And I watched this man drop the ball that day. So I wouldn't put that on you, Mr. McElhaney. As far as the letter of confidence, I don't have any confidence in this police department at all. The reason that I don't have the confidence in this police department is, for instance, there's an instance on, I can't remember the date, Ronnie Stanford flipped his car over, had an accident. Instead of which I have a bunch of documents that we requested that lead us to believe that the police officers knew that Ronnie Stanford may be intoxicated that evening. And even though he had flipped a vehicle and got into an accident, the man saved him from getting a breathalyzer test or a blood test. My uncle was killed by a drunk driver. The reason that we have those laws is to hopefully catch somebody that didn't kill somebody, stop them from doing that again by punishing them by law. On April 6th, I reported to the Lebanon Police Department that an unredacted video of mine had been leaked by the police department and given to Bonnie Burleson, who shared it via Facebook and YouTube. This now has some oddware of like 60,000 views on just YouTube. We have received tons of threatening phone calls on the internet. One of my good friends from 12 years ago, I used a tattoo, lost her job in Kentucky. She works at a daycare center where she's now getting harassed because she's my friend. All I ever did in this situation is speak my First Amendment right to come against somebody that I did not believe was doing their job correctly. Now, my sister is getting harassing phone calls, who lives in Kentucky. She has 5 children. I have 3. A friend of mine lost their job at daycare and cannot get it back because they have a zero tolerance harassment policy. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. If you bring it there, you lost their job. I want to know, has it been turned over to Homeland Security like they told me that it was going to be? That was a month ago today, woman. Has it been turned over?
There's a meeting set.
It has not been turned over. I contacted Homeland Security today and turned it over myself. They are wondering why it's been a month since you've turned it over. Since it's in multiple states now, Michigan, Kentucky, Ohio, and this is unbelievable.
You guys don't turn over the stuff. I don't know that you guys are looking into the betterment of this community at all. When I looked at that letter of confidence, all I saw from you is you're tearing it apart. You speak about other people doing that, but I'm not sure what's going on. Gail and Tammy, you're always protecting Glenna now. It's the strangest thing. What did the attorney say to you, Tammy, in Columbus? What did he say about the ethics violation? Do you want to tell me? Or do you want me to say it out loud? He told you that Gail was in violation of ethics violations, yes? Ms. Nicole Atkins, is that correct?
What?
In Columbus, where you told by an attorney
Yes, in Columbus.
that Gail Joy was guilty of ethics violation by Star? Yes.
Correct, yeah.
Now, Ronald Keener cleared this. I'm asking for both of your immediate resignation. You were fighting this. You've been asking you for help. You need help and standing here in defiance of change. That's all that's been done. That's all that's been done. The fire department also has been holding death records for 4 years and will not give those away. That's a violation of all kinds. I can't even talk about it. It's insane and makes me sick.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Todd McFarland, 136 Broadwood.
Okay, so I'd like to follow my husband in the gratitude for finally revealing the truth to everyone. Can I just say, we told you so, that we knew it, and everyone behind me, we told you so. Okay? I want you to step down. I want you to step down. I want an apology from you, because I came to you personally and asked you to admit the truth.
I wasn't allowed, it was executive.
I told you it was illegal.
It was illegal. I came to you, woman to woman, personally, and asked you to tell the truth. He came to you personally, man to man, and asked you to tell the truth.
Order, please, order.
Lies. I did report to the Ohio Ethics Commission. They sent me back a letter that said that I would need more information because I wasn't able to get a hold of enough stuff because of the chokehold that you had on all these people here. Okay? Proof. I told you, step down. You are an embarrassment to this community. An embarrassment. Stay with you.
Full-time life.
Come on, order, please.
I am ashamed. I am absolutely ashamed. I am appalled. I am so glad the truth is finally out. I do not want to see you at the next meeting. I do not want to see you at the next meeting. I don't ever want to see you around anywhere. I want you to resign. Okay? Liar.
Thank you. Erica Boggs, 138, Lebanon, please. You can pass, okay. Paul, you're next,
Boggs, 138, Lebanon Court. First off, I would like to let everybody know, been informed with a tornado warning, so just wanted to let everybody know.
excuse me for a second, Lieutenant Morgan, can you check on that, verify that with dispatch, please? We're in warning, you got location, what delivery and count, please. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Boggs, go ahead and continue.
So I wanted to restate what was brought up in resolution 24-05, section 2, subsection 2. Nobody shall, or they shall not access any village computer systems, email accounts, shared drives, and any other digital platform where documents or records are stored, either by own doing or by directing any other persons. And subsection 3, shall not communicate with village staff, contractors, or any other individuals involved in village affairs regarding document records or village affairs, and shall not be present on, remain on, or have access to any village property via themselves, as a request of another person during the pendency. And to educate anybody on what pendency means, it means, the state condition or period of being pending or waiting for a settlement of the village investigation. Now, I have personally witnessed, after this resolution was read, Tammy Locke, Gail Joy, walking in with Glenna, walking in with Hensley, walking in with Phil Henson, walking in with everybody that was let go. I feel like this is a direct violation of the resolution, and I ask for the immediate dismissal of Tammy Locke as well as Gail Joy. Tammy Locke, you bring up public emails and concerns, right? I ask that you bring names. You bring names to the mayor, to the other council members, so that they can address this. Not reading some made up names, not reading something that fits the narrative for protecting Glenna and anybody else that you're protecting. I'm on the side of right here, and I want to thank each and every one of the new council members, our new law director, again, our new city manager. I greatly appreciate you from the bottom of my heart and my family's heart for doing what you're doing and looking out for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Next one, Jeff Allery, 311 East Main. You're good, sir. Yes, ma'am.
It's just outside of Eaton. It's coming this way.
Okay.
It's between Richmond and Eaton.
Okay. Shannon Bemis, 130 Brownwood.
Okay,
Go ahead.
you ready?
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, okay, well, first thing, I guess I'm on the agenda, so I'm gonna use this time. At the fifth meeting, there was, I guess, maybe I misspoke. Sometimes my mouth runs a little faster than my brain. Chris says, his mother was here and spoke, Gail Joy, his wife spoke. And I was simply laying out the players in the field, letting Mr. Anderson know, there are people coming up in support of the council, and then there's two citizens that were very upset, expressing obviously displeasure with the happenings of the current administration. This was nothing about Chris as a person, as an employee. I've never said anything bad about Chris as. He's been in my house on multiple occasions throughout the years for medic calls, nothing but professional. I've spoken and relayed that to his chief Marcus, to current Chief Kaiser. It was simply introducing his mother, showing that this person up here had a bias for coming up as an interest with her son being an employee of the village. Making two salaries, and someone said it again, two salaries, meaning he works for the service department and he works for the fire department. Service department during the day, fire department is on weekends and evenings, so it's not two full-time salaries, whatever people were wondering about. So I do apologize to Mr. Eds. This is never about him as a person or him as an employee. I was literally just introducing his mother as the speaker to show the bias behind the anger and the displeasure that she was bringing. End of story. So now that that's done, I'd also like to correct one more statement. At the 416 meeting, I had stated that Ray wasn't here the minute said he was present. I actually, again, one of those things where my mouth sometimes doesn't catch up with my brain, or vice versa, but Ray was at the meeting, and the meeting minutes showed that he was absent. Did you look at it? I was asked, right? Go ahead.
May I speak? Go ahead. So I did request that. I did notice that it said that he was absent. I did see that Miss Atkins was, or Miss Locke was the vice mayor presided over the meeting. And yes, we did miss that. And everybody, that was council did as well.
Oh, no, I'm not blaming you specifically, but what I'm saying is, you guys wanna sit here and complain about verbatim minutes when you guys can't do roll call process.
Well, that's what that was, I missed it. And
Well,
I apologize. for that.
And you're not right, and I appreciate that, but I think you're not the one that, and I don't wanna sit here and pick on one specific person, but the bottom line is, I don't ever want to hear anything about verbatim minutes ever again from anybody from council. I've been going back all the way for years, and most of the meeting minutes say some discussion was had. Not even Gail Joy had a discussion with Tim back, or discussed this, it was, some discussion was had. Those have been your meeting minutes for all these years. I don't know why you suddenly wanna take a fine tooth comb and pick through them, because you need every explanation part, mark, period, comma, whatever. It's not gonna happen, it's never been that way. How much time do I have left? I'll just leave it to the agenda, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, administrative staff comments, Lieutenant Walkman for the police department, do you have anything? Or anybody in council have anything for the police department this evening? No, okay. Municipal manager comments.
Your Honor, I'm gonna say something tonight. I've been holding my tongue and biting my tongue, and I feel it's appropriate given what has transpired over the last week to make just a statement. I'm not gonna rehash what I said to the newspaper because I stand by that comment. But I will say that when you get into the management profession, you have to adapt to change. When I was teaching in the master's program at Wright State in the MBA program, the first thing I told the students is the tenure of a city manager is 3 to 5 years. That's the average tenure of a manager, 3 to 5 years. You typically get a change in council and you can have an opportunity to lose your job. That's just the nature of the business. Most managers understand that. And when that does happen, they move on and try to find a job somewhere else. What I found here that's been very difficult is that nobody seems to want to move on. The staff that I'm trying to work with, for the most part, I think are terrific and want to do the best thing for this village and are really working hard and are really thriving in this new environment. I've seen staff members step up and take command of things they didn't want to take command of, learning things they didn't think they want to learn, and taking on more roles than they had previously been doing. They're flourishing. Unfortunately, we have a handful of employees who see this new accountability as negative. And all I'm trying to do and all I've done in my career, and I've worked in multiple places, you probably records request all of them. I've done nothing but bring professional management to that environment. I have nothing but stellar records everywhere I've been. I have an eye for identifying people with talent, bringing them into the organization and promoting them. And you can talk to any of the department heads I've ever managed, and they will say the same thing. So unfortunately, what I have here is I have department heads who, when you ask them for things, don't get back to you, or get back to you later, or just don't do the things that you ask them to do. And I'm not picking on anyone in particular, but there is an issue that we've been dealing with on Parkview. There was a sinkhole that I was tasked with, but one of the first things I was tasked with was trying to get that fixed. I reached out to the service department. There is an electric warning. It is not a situation that's normal. It does require court. I waited over a month, almost 2 months, for some movement on a sinkhole on Parkview. Today, with one phone call to AES, AES was there in less than an hour and stated they had not been contacted by anybody from the village of New Lebanon, either by email or by phone. So when you're asking for things to get done, I can't work. That's not what I do. I manage people to do the work, and when they're not doing the work, it makes it very difficult for me to do my job. So the vote of no confidence, I think, is funny. I don't take offense to it. It's just the nature of the business. But I have built a stellar career on professional going to change. And so the folks that are here are either going to rise to the challenge or they're not. And if they're not, then I would recommend they seek employment elsewhere. That's it.
Anything for the city manager?
Actually, on Facebook, there was about on Main Street, the sidewalks. That has been messed up. I've talked to Glenna a couple of times in the past, over the last year, about the same thing. And, a lady had to use her wheelchair and actually go into the street, risking getting hit by a car. And I made that comment a year ago too, that this is something that needs to be fixed. It's a safety hazard. She said because we didn't have the sidewalk program, that it wasn't able to be addressed. I asked her to get involved, to be able to talk to them, and she said again, we don't have a sidewalk program, so we can't get involved. So this is something that needs to be addressed, because I do not want to see people in our community in a wheelchair on roads. I mean, it's not safe.
Of course.
So this needs to be addressed immediately.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I was asked the day in the park, stated it was a resident group. Somebody had asked me, is this through the village or is it a separate organization that's actually taking charge of this?
So it's going to be a partnership. There are some, so I know a couple council members are on it. I'm helping out with it. So the village will be involved, but it's going to be a collaborative effort with some residents in the village.
Okay. The other one, they wanted to know about Gloucester Street was approved. When will that get started?
So they did the pre-construction meeting, I believe, last week with construction. They should probably start seeing materials come on site pretty soon. They'll get underway. I would say within the next 30 days.
They brought materials today.
Okay, and that's on Comer, but obviously that's the section of Gloucester's Comer Street.
They didn't specify the steps. The other is, who is doing the minutes?
So I have a volunteer that does the minutes for me to transcribe them. I then review them and make any changes and send them to you.
So that person reports to you then?
It's a volunteer that does. So, to me, it was, all right, we're not making it, not making it.
Do we know who that volunteer is?
Yeah, Shannon does it for me.
James, great. All right, I think that's all they asked.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a question. The road that Miss Atkins was talking about, what road was that again?
It's on Main Street.
Main Street. All right, speaking of which, I noticed on the Gloucester, due to the telephone poles and sidewalks there, I have some properties I take care of up through there, and I know that specifically there's a person on that street that is in a wheelchair and would have absolute trouble and could not get around because the side is not wide enough from telephone pole. So they would literally have to ride in the street. I don't know if that's something of concern, but to me it is. You know, having somebody, so that might be something to look into. So I figured I would bring that up.
Sure. No problem.
Anybody else?
I think on that one picture that you seen, everybody had seen, I think there was 2 different spots. The one is closer to the new dollar store, I think, but all them trucks, that got busted up through all them trucks driving in and out of there.
To the Rochester, can we get a copy of your PowerPoint? I can then view here. Did I get a copy of it?
Sure.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
And then are these comments for like in general or like everything?
These are comments to the city manager.
The pickleball? When you have do you get any word on any of that?
So we received a grant from Ohio Financial Resources, so we have to do the full formal bidding process. So I'm going to have to engage an engineer to put those documents together for us. But we have a great engineer we work with, so I'll reach out to them.
Okay,
It's not a big project. It should be done by the end.
okay.
Anybody else? Okay, let's go to council comments. Who has anything? Mr. Joy, anything tonight, council wise?
I do.
Go ahead, son.
I just want to specify that I did review Glenna's contract. What was stated is not accurate. I want to say and give my condolences to the family and friends of Mr. Galvey. You know, it's tragic and, you know, my heart goes out to you. I also, I want to apologize to the employees of the municipality. I want to thank them for their hard work and their diligence. I agree with your sentiments about the management and leadership that you expressed. I also have very little confidence in management and the leadership of the village. I have never seen an organization that terminates employees for, and then when half of the employee base is specified, they have no confidence in your leadership, and that it's a hostile work environment to have the management and the legal counsel specify, just get over it. That's the worst management and legal. As for leadership of the council, I believe none of you have said anything about half the employees in the village stating that it's a hostile work environment, and they're basically on the verge of quitting. And, you know, a manager and a law director that essentially spits in their face and you say nothing. And I question what that says about you. And I have to say, I would not want to be in your organization.
That all, Mr. Jones? That's all, okay, Mr. Mack, go ahead.
Mr. Anderson, I have a couple questions. I imagine you've reached out to the people that had no vote of confidence on whether work being done as you stated. Are they replying to you in a timely manner, or how is that working? Can you elaborate?
So they reply, it's gotten better since the letter was sent, but it's only been a few days since then, so.
And how before the letter that was sent, how was the responses to you?
The responses weren't delayed, they were, I would say, timely within a reasonable amount of time. It's just not seeing the result of the work is the frustration.
So basically, they weren't quite doing what you were asking?
Correct, and some of the projects, the quality of the work wasn't what I would like them to do. But, you know, I can get into that later.
Okay. So I think that the main thing of transparency is, you know, we all got bosses at some point in time that we may not like. But we, as in being employed anywhere, we must do what is asked of us. And sometimes we don't have, I mean, who likes going to work and working a job? Nobody is most of the time super excited about that. And you know, I think that the vote of no confidence, it says a lot. If anybody feels that way, I'm sorry you feel that way. But as for vote of confidence on the election, people had a vote of no confidence for the people that were leading this community. They were not happy with where their towers were going, where were they going, if it had been ongoing, and the people voted on that. And I think that it's, you know, it's as simple as this. New Lebanon is an at-will. The state of Ohio is at-will as well, for employment. You can be terminated at any job for any reason whatsoever. That's how at-will works. You know, it's that simple. I have a few other things that I would like to bring up. So I'm gonna try to make this quick as possible.
Mr. Brown, real quick, big decision from awarding.
Okay. Thank you.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Okay. Wait 1 second. So much. Well, so if I noticed this tonight in your PowerPoint, if you listen when I believe Ms. Demus was speaking, you can hear the attorney say, if I didn't hear wrong, that contract has to be signed. He stated that, and then as it was stated, it was not signed, correct? Yeah, okay. So Negotiated 3 months early, that's crazy. On October 3rd. And, people want to talk about power trips. Let's look at this, self-dealing by Money Madden. Revised termination vote required amended from 4 out of 7 members to 2/3 of council members. Removal of clause that her duties may be determined by council. Council is the one that oversees a municipal manager, and you want to remove the clause that council may determine her duties. 5-year extension instead of 3, automatic 3-year extension, and at the end, initial 5 extension. That seems like personally a power trip. I stressed it, I posted the book. Preliminary, people come up here and get this, come up to the village office, and it's simple request, simple request. Mr. Joy, you've made a couple comments on Facebook that I would like to discuss. A member of the community said they need a fun center for the kids, something for the elders, gym, bowling alley. There's nothing for the kids to do. Mr. Joy's comment is to the person, they just spent that money. We just spent that money. But according to what I believe I've read, I think we're already 4.5 million in debt, if I'm correct. Please somebody quote me if I'm wrong on that. Mr. Joy, also, we could talk about the courthouse that we've been paying $2,200 a month. While it was vacant for approximately a year. I'm still waiting on the time. Or the fact that I believe, please quote me if I'm wrong, the heating bill was $4,500 that we just paid. So you want to talk about not paying attention and spending money that we just spent that money, just so you're aware. The attorney is making the same amount that Mr. Keener made, correct?
In my capacity as law director.
Yes, as law director. Okay, Mr. Anderson, you're making the same amount that Ms. Madden was making, is that a correct statement?
Generally, yes, without the benefits, I don't get benefits.
Okay, sounds like we're saving a little bit. So I don't appreciate you saying that we spent that money. Okay, I just don't think that's very nice. Then you asked, let me see. You replied to somebody else on here, you said, person's name, I'm not gonna disclose it. Why didn't they wait until the investigation was over before they fired employees? The next question is why those in acting chief and service supervisor roles aren't being compensated for their added responsibilities. I don't like the fact that you refer to people as they. I feel like that's a division. And then, for people being compensated for those roles, that's something that you could always, imagine. Get in contact with Rob and ask him about. But there's requirements that people have to hit for that stuff as well. You say in another statement, and you still haven't provided the book or anything resembling proof. I'm not sure how they didn't learn anything from that training. It seems that Tammy Locke is the only one that did. I looked at the training manual and it is full of prudent information. Oh, Mr. Joe, I would love for you to have been there. I would have loved for you to be there. You know what I learned? And this is from the people that taught us. I went to the OML seminar in Columbus, and boy, did I learn a lot. I learned that a lot of things we were being told was incorrect. And I brought up a scenario. I didn't say names or anything. And it basically was a borderline of your scenario where you voted on a contract and your daughter was working for the municipal manager. And I asked the person at the seminar if that was ethical. And they said, Absolutely not. Would anybody else, Ms. Locke? Do you remember the question that I asked? Do you remember
The question you asked was if they were a direct employee.
it? Yes, the question that I asked was, is that ethical? Do you remember the
I
reply?
remember the question,
What, do you remember the reply?
but it was not in that context.
Okay, that was exactly,
That's not right.
it was exactly in that.
But then again, I wasn't sitting with the three of you, I was sitting
No.
clear in the back.
No, absolutely. Actually, that statement is true, she was sitting away from us because that would have been a basically a court.
Actually, we found out that was
But
that's not true either.
please finish. That is something else that we learned, is they were stating, this is a quorum, that's a quorum, you can't do this. We found out that that was not true as well. So, that also being stated, many things that we learned. Ms. Sexton, you were there for that, and so was Ms. Atkins. Would you guys like to speak on that, what you guys heard?
When you asked about, Mr. Joy and his daughter walking forward, being assistant for Glenn and him being on city council, if it would be a conflict, and they said, yes, absolutely.
You should actually excuse yourself and leave the room. You should have no participation in a vote whatsoever.
So-
Also, at that meeting, you're not supposed to do things verbatim, period. That was stated.
And we could go out to dinner, all of us. As soon as we leave this location, we could all go out to dinner, have a dinner, as long as we're not talking about village stuff
Decisions on.
or making any decisions, we could go all out and hang out all day long, and it's not a quorum.
And that is something else that we learned. And this is not my words, this is in basically one of the speakers that was at the LML.
It's a loyal.
It was a lawyer, I also have his name down, and if need be, I can give it to the law director or whoever need be, and they can be in contact with him. I just thought that was something interesting to learn about. And I'm still learning, and I'm gonna make mistakes, and that's gonna happen, but I'm gonna learn to do the best that I can to serve my community. Skip over this area here from this point for now, skip over this because of the time and things going on. You can also get a copy, they can get a copy of the talking about the courthouse, $2,200 a month, and the $4,000 electric bill for AES for running the heating system, which will be and water being flushed throughout the system in the court building was costing us monthly was $450 we were paying somebody. My personal opinion, why couldn't our service department do it? It would have cost us a lot less than $450 to flush a toilet, flip some lights on. But what I spent the money. I don't like statements that people have made and some talk in the public. I know I signed up for this, but please understand, there is no their side, our side. It is in the best interest of the community, and that's how I will always vote. So that's where I'm at, and I'm not on any side. I'm for the community. And I want to do what people elected me to do, because I love this community. This is where I've lived my entire life, and I cherish it. Yeah, we got things going wrong, but we're trying to get it on the road to fix it the best that we can. As for the open book statement you made, all these were handed out to all council members, Mr. Joy. You open it, it's an open book, you can go through and you can read it. As for something else, because we were informed that executive meetings are not executive meetings, I have one more thing I would like to bring up. Mr. Wortman, were you here the night that Mr. Farley got arrested? Were you one that put him into the cruiser?
Yes, me and Captain.
Okay, did he spit on you or another officer at all? Directly on you?
Yes.
He did?
Yes.
Okay, I, at this point, would like to ask you to probably review your body cam. Because from what I've seen, that is not what happened. he spit on the ground. And during one of the executive, non-executive sessions, the chief also said he spit directly on an officer, and from what I've seen in the body cam, that is not true. So, what I see was the man spit on the ground. I didn't see him spit directly on anybody, and I was not here the night that he was arrested as well. I was just looking into it. As for other things, no confidence, I've looked into different things and, you know, there's some toxic stuff going on in the police department. And this is through public record requests that people can do. From my understanding, tests that are required to hit a certain level to be applicable and below. And to the point where, you know, we had an officer that had to go to part-time because of the toxicity in the police department because of the senior officer. So, and that's all public records, that's just stuff. So we got things we're working on, and transparency is key. So, you know, the letter from the police department of no confidence, you know, I don't know how you could have confidence. You have the tools to success and people that are willing to help in any way, form, shape, or possible in the community. And I cherish you guys, Mr. Workman, and even Ms. Wire knows that every time I've seen you, I see you guys, I've always treated you guys with respect, decency, and the utmost respect. And you all know that, whether you will answer that or not, I've always had my respect for you guys and told you to be safe. And stay safe. I've always said that. So that's all I'm gonna get into tonight. There's a lot more stuff I'd like to go through, but it's just a lot to take in, and with things that were presented to us tonight. And I just ask people, you know, get the preliminary, whether you get the PowerPoint or the book. Go over the stuff, people, and it's not our side, their side, it's what's best for the community. That's all I have to say. I hope everybody has a great night. I would like to send condolences to the families, who remember was in an incident. And as well for Mr. Perkins, who is absent, who's dealing with some medical stuff, and keep him in our, you know, prayers, and just, yeah, so that's all I have.
So we've got Officer Readers saying that is a warning.
The warning is in Montgomery County, and the storm is actually like right over us, right? We're
Yeah.
So where's our shelter?
So there's 12 companies in the back door area, and we have a shelter in the east part.
The watch.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's, I mean, there's not one friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll continue that, just as watch. Ms. Atkins, your turn?
Yes, Gail, I do got a comment, I was in executive session, we know that it was illegal. When we did the executive session after the vote, actually took me over an hour and a half to look at that contract, the compare contract. So my question is, I know you didn't look at it then. And I know you really got it, we only was at the executive session prior to, for not even a couple minutes. It wasn't like we really looked at it. When did you guys look at it? Because if I didn't get to look at it until when I looked at it, when did you guys get it? Did you guys get it at home? Did you guys get it beforehand? Because I didn't get it. And that's what I'm trying to figure this out now, because you're hearing, oh, I heard it so many times from you that I looked at it and I reviewed it. Well, the only time we've ever seen the contract was an executive. That was illegal, by the way. Because I was very stickler of not talking about executive. So I'm really lost when this contract got looked at. And on the other note, Natasha, I am very sorry that I couldn't make, she left, but I still wanted on record. I'm very sorry that I could not let her know with anything. It was an executive at that time. I kept my executive, even though many times I was accused of leaking an executive, which I never did. But now knowing that they're all illegal, I really don't care what comes out in an executive. But what I'm saying is, I've been accused of executive for leaking stuff when I knew I wasn't. And you guys can honestly now know the truth that I wasn't leaking anything. Because when a woman is begging you and crying and begging and texting and calling, and you won't release, that you know that, yes, you talked about her husband and executive. You know, yes, they talked about removing, not really arresting, but it went to arrest immediately. It's like people on the board knew what was going on. I didn't know, I didn't have a clue. I still to this day never approved it. Any other charges that he has, I don't know nothing about it. I wasn't there. The only thing I was involved in was the one that I was at. And that's the only one that I know shouldn't have happened. They should have asked him to leave the building. And they should have never arrested him. But all that, yes, that was done. And I just feel sorry for all that. And I'm sorry that I could not tell her because I hold my office to what it was. And I wasn't breaking my executive because that was my position. And and that's what I told her. And at that time, I was doing what I was supposed to do, not talk about it. So that's what I did. And I know she's upset. I know she's hurt. I understand it. And I feel sorry that they went through so much that they shouldn't have never went through. Just because people don't like them. I don't know why they did it. But I tell you what, it shouldn't have never been done. They should have just let him leave and told him to leave. And that he would have left, you know? But they made it feel to me that it was a threat. He was a threat, because I do remember an executive, I asked, does he have a gun? Do you think he's gonna bodily harm us? Because that's the field tactic I got out of the executive. That was my personal opinion. It's not anybody else's on this, but I asked that in executive. So yes, I feel sorry for what they went through. I cannot change it, but I had to hold what I came in the office for, and that's what I did. And as for the, I'm gonna revisit the situation about the email that I got on Sunday. And I do not think a police officer in our community should talk about anybody within the community at any given time and give out information that they shouldn't be giving out about homes and where they live at and stuff. This should not ever happen. Being an officer, I see people in the community, like I said, they should be ashamed of themselves. It's not a conflict of me, it's a conflict of them, and they both should be able to figure out, you don't sit there and have a major and just talk about people in the community and when you're on duty. That's the biggest thing. If you guys want to talk about other stuff on your off duty, go for it, but not on duty. So I just really think a lot of stuff that needs to change, and a lot of people needs to really step up to the plate. If you're gonna be a police officers, I have to have trust in our police officers. Right now, I really have zero. And that's sad. I feel that if something happened, I don't even know if they would actually protect us right now, because I'm seeing lives that I don't even know why. And why is everybody going after everybody? And let the investigation be the investigation. Let it play out. And I had no knowledge of this investigation. The day I came back I was out of town, I was in Florida, I came back late that night, and the meeting was the next day. It's sad that people just wants to point fingers. I know there's an investigation going on, let it play out. Quit being against everybody. The council, I feel like it's torn. We are here to help and support the community. And being a torn council is not helping anybody but causing chaos. And is this what we want for our community, is a bunch of chaos? I think we all need to work together and get back to what the basics is, and being here to support the people and be for the community and do what's right for the community.
Section.
I needed to bring up this, Marilyn Brown, you wanna talk about saving money. This young lady was getting $16,000. She's a seasonal worker. And she got paid through the winter and was asked to give her, basically an outline of what work she did, and she provided nothing. I don't even know who this girl is. I didn't even know she was an employee. I had no idea. I've never seen her before. But we saved $16 there, and I don't see anybody saying anything about that. Did you guys know that she was an employee here? And she got paid $16,000 a year? Seasonal? She's a seasonal worker. Why is she getting paid through the winter? And no one has said nothing about it? It blows my mind. It blows my mind that one individual can have such a hold on this entire community. One person, Glenna Madden. This place has been mismanaged. And it's been mismanaged in a way to where people are benefiting from your guys' money, my money. I have no trust in our law enforcement, not after these leads violations. None whatsoever. And it sounds like to me, they're keeping you from doing your job and managing this community and looking out for the citizens in this community. All these anonymous record requests, the protons me, all of this stuff just mysteriously started showing up. All these emails. It's pretty funny that the IT, how they just mysteriously pop up. I don't understand. And it seems like that you guys are now thriving on dividing. You know how many, I went back 2 years of council. Listen to meetings, 7-0 votes, 6-1, 7-0, 7-0, 7-0, every single meeting. You said nothing, either one of you, nothing, not a word. And now you have a problem because people are being held accountable? Ridiculous. Who are you protecting? Why? We have to move on. We have people in this community we have to look out for. Not Glenna. It's over. We have to move on. That's it. That's all I have.
Yes, thank you. Couple things, to Mr. Perkins, who evidently is having some health. Like to keep him in prayer, as well as the family with the accident, them as well as in prayer. I do myself have some mistrust, and there's reasons why. And I addressed this last time. I did ask questions, so, and I am asking questions. I also, like to say, I apologize to the employees of this village and to this community. I agree with some of your concerns with current management and leadership. I thank you for your commitment, your hard work and dedication, and always to our first responders, which are the fire department and the police department. Always stay safe. I will continue to keep this community in my prayers and fight for this community. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
Because of time, and I wanted Sharon Beavis to be allowed to speak on the agenda. I have all kinds of things I want to say. I'm just gonna make a point about a couple things, and then we'll move on to the agenda, okay? You know, I won by an overwhelming majority to become the mayor of this town. I ran against a man that initially didn't want to be the mayor, but was talked into becoming the mayor when they were finding out that Dave Nickerson was running for mayor. And I walked this town, and I talked to the people, and I went to the houses, and I knocked on the doors, and I shook hands. And I was out there with people getting signatures for the ballot, including yours, Mr. Joy, by the way. And I talked to people, and an overwhelming majority of this community of 2.7 square miles, the people wanted to see a change. They wanted to see a new mayor and new council, because they have seen it for years, what's been happening. And I made a promise that I was going to do exactly that. And my entire time, in the 3.5 or 4 months of me being here, I've been nothing but called a tyrant, a Hitler, Nazi, KGB. I've been threatened with violence. I've been sent emails threatening violence. Let me catch you on the street. Let me do something, and I'll catch your butt. You're a punk. Excuse my language, you're a bitch. Let me catch you and see what happens. Well, let me explain to you something. I'm going to maintain my respect and my dignity and my professionalism. That's what 33 years in the Army taught me to do. I'm going to be respectful, courteous, and polite, because there is people out there that like Dave Nickerson. I was a firefighter on this town for 14.5 years. I pulled people out of houses in this town that were on fire. I pulled people out of cars that they were trapped in. I delivered babies, but I'm a tyrant, right, Mr. Joy? I'm a tyrant. I was interviewed by Dayton Daily News and News Center 7, and I was nothing but respectful all the time. I did not talk down or about anybody. I never did anything sneaky or conniving or backstabbing. So I'm gonna tell you guys, it's in here, and I hope it gets out there. I will continue to fight for my community, just like I fought for my nation. And I will be respectful the entire time, and I will do what I can. Some of you and I go back a long time. Where we used to be battles. I want to see that again. I have nothing to hide. And I'm going to tell you, if there was nothing wrong with this investigation, they wouldn't be pushing back so damn hard. Okay? There's more than just a half a dozen people in this community that filed complaints with the AG's office in Columbus. And I'm going to tell you, when they came to me, it was my duty as a sworn politician, government employee of this community to follow through, and that's exactly what I did. I will not let this community crumble. If you don't like it, move out. We have lots of big plans coming for this community and for the kids this year and for next year. We are going to fix it. It is going to be fixed. I promise you that. And I am not going to give up on these members of council, on this man, or any of you that live in this community. I will be there to take phone calls every day. Okay, and one final thing, and then I'm going to end. Was what the city manager, I'm a caveat, what the city manager said about Parkview. We've been talking about Parkview because the homeowner called me a month ago and asked me, can we please do something? It's been 2 years and nothing got done. So I called the city manager and I let him do his job, his mission. Let's get a hold of somebody in the service department. Let's go take a look at it, see what we can do to make it safe so no little babies fall into that hole and die. Okay, nothing ever got done. He told me 2 months. I made the phone call to AES this morning from my work, and in 30 minutes, there was a construction crew from AES over there looking at how to get it fixed. And they never received a phone call an email one. That's what I believe in, taking care of this community. If you don't like me, that's on you. If you do like me and you want to work together, come and join me, and I'll be more than happy to work side by side with you. And as I told the city manager today, if I have to, I'll step in front of you and take it from you. And take one for you. Because that's how I am, okay? So that's all I have to say about it. All right? Does anybody have any other thing before we move on to the final for the evening? All right, request for executive session, for the agenda, I apologize, for the agenda, Shannon Beavis, please.
I really just, I guess, have to get it done next time, Mr. Anderson, because I'm gonna run on things that come done. Regarding the Fairview, property, Mr. Denlinger, that was actually brought up by Melissa Sexton a year ago. My parents live around the corner, he's had a hole in his front yard with cones, the service department said they would be back, they never came back. It's been brought up multiple times, he's emailed, he's called, we brought it up, nothing. So thank you for getting something out within a half hour today. The same thing with, and let me just go, I mean, I have notebooks. Mr. Hickey has been coming up here for several years about his flooding on Blossom Street. No phone call, no returns, nothing. Mr. Daniel, the man of Johnsville Farmersville, his home that's flooding, that we have been pumping for how many years, that came up here multiple times angry. But again, you know, Ms. Locke, you want to ask questions and get answers, but these citizens come up here year after year begging, their homes are being destroyed. And they're begging for a solution and an answer, but you can't give them an answer. Mr. Bundy on Laredo, Mr. Anderson, I forwarded you a video of his home. He lives on the street from me. He's been coming up here for years. You can attest to that, Mr. Joy. The sidewalk coming up on Main Street, Nicole Atkins has been bringing that up for over a year. There are people that I've watched come up here for many years, begging, pleading, issues with the police department, issues they have with zoning, issues that they have just in general. Nobody ever cared. Have I said this to you before? All we wanted were answers, accountability. People have come up here, have they not? Nobody calls me back. Ray used to tell me, we'll send the municipal manager an email. I will show you every single email I've sent with no reply. Every single time I called, no call back. That's why we had to come here. And you know what? Still no answer. Again, this new council is holding people accountable. If you were doing your job, in my opinion, and I'm hoping that you guys would live by this, you have nothing to worry about. I'm an at-will employee myself. I have no fear of losing my job because I do my job. So if you're not doing anything wrong, don't worry. Mr. Joy, I did ask you to email, you said in the last minute of the last meeting that within 20 minutes you can convince or provide enough evidence to show that council is breaking the law and has multiple violations. You never emailed me that. Do you have that?
I can sit down with you if you'd like.
I gave you my email address. Can you email that to me?
Maybe.
Okay, I'll repeat again. It's Shannon Bemis, SHANNON, Bemis, BEM as in Mary, IS, at AOL.com. My cell phone number is 937-604-0107. I do know that you had mentioned 30.01H2 violations about it 3 different meetings. What were you referencing?
The agenda.
The agenda. What is incorrect with the agenda or any violation?
It's listed in the ordinance.
What is your problem with it?
It's incorrect.
What is incorrect about it?
It's not the same. All you gotta do is look at this agenda right here.
Right.
And look at the one that's in the ordinance and
Right.
see that it's wrong.
They're identical.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're
No.
not.
And just let you know that you guys did have a work session on January 30th where you guys went over the agenda, and council in the work session did agree to move the agenda to the end because some people didn't want to stay and listen to them.
I have no problem with that.
So what's the problem?
Unfinished business. If you look at it,
So it's not, so instead of being called old business, it's unfinished business?
it's a difference. It's a violation.
May I address this?
Hold on a second. We'll give you time. Go ahead.
Okay.
Seriously?
Yeah, Robert's Rules of Order Control. If you have old business, you can talk about any business whatsoever. Okay? Way back when we passed this resolution and this happened, unfinished business means business that needs attended to, that's in progress, that's pending. That's a ridiculous comment.
What he's saying is in the charter, it states old business.
Oh, I know.
So you're saying
I
that,
changed it to unfinished because that's the proper approach. And he's complaining about that? Exhibit A right there.
Okay, so Neil Joy, if you remember, the first year I came up here and I said there was $177,000 spent that you didn't know about and you admitted to not knowing about. That's an issue. Unfinished versus old, completely different plan. Okay, you sitting here and attacking, you have never asked again, and I'm not gonna, I know the weather's bad and stuff. This is just asinine that you guys sit here and actually want to act like council members. You did not, again, and why did you not want to run for council? What was the reason you gave myself and Melissa?
I don't know.
Well, you're, okay, I'll go back and repeat what you said on record before. The bottom line is that this community is very torn and it does break my heart, genuinely. Started coming up here, you guys didn't know that the firemen were getting paid $10 an hour and all the discrepancies that we had. And we've been saying this for a long time. Glenna's contract is illegal. I told you that day, and I'm just gonna finish my sentence. I told you that day, everything about it was illegal. And you, my sir, just to let you know, Ms. Atkins, the first time you read her contract was after you voted on it. 10-3, you guys passed that resolution. You went into executive session. That's the first time you saw that contract. And remember why I asked you, I said, it's at 30 days, at 30 days. Why are we doing this 4 months before? And the mayor said, oh, you know, there's a lot to it. And Glenna said, like the NOIA contract, it's nothing like that. It only takes a couple weeks. There's so much to my contract. We need this time. Remember that? Do you remember that conversation? Okay, go back and watch my live. I'll friend request you, you can watch it. She said her contract was so big, she needed all this time to go over because there was so much to it, right? So you're telling me that 5 minutes later, you all go into executive session, you see this contract for the first time, it's negotiated and signed within an hour. Awful. And you're gonna sit here and give these people a hard time for trying to save our money and spend it the right way and do things the right way? I don't know what you guys are standing up for. You're saying you want, I don't know what you guys are defending at this point. Because when I came up for all these years, you weren't defending me. You weren't defending these citizens coming up here and leaving. I don't know what kind of a spell you're on. I don't know what kind of spell you're on. I don't. Have a good night. Stay safe.
Thank you. Okay, our next regular council meeting will be held Tuesday, May 21st at 7:30. Okay, May 21st at 7:30. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Vice Mayor Atkins,
Yes.
Councilmember Locke,
Yes.
Councilmember Sexton,
Yes.
Councilmember Back,
Yes.
Councilmember Joy,
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
6-0.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Be careful. I don't know who else is like that. Be careful.
Paul, it's four, get back.